Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. Hopefully, everybody can see me. Hopefully, we're going to have a better stream than what we did last time because apparently that wasn't very good, especially for the actual sound, the reverb. So, if everybody can just let me know that, yes, Shirati, this is what I care about. The reason why I wanted to care about it is I'll go into the reason why it's important very shortly. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody, say how are you all doing, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Hopefully everybody can see me. Just let me know if you can. That's good. Thank you very much, Shirati, for that one. Letting me know. Hopefully my internet signal should be a bit better, so it shouldn't be so choppy. Though by the looks of it, it still doesn't look like it wants to keep a great signal. So I don't know why that is. I literally have my internet as close as possible. So unfortunately, it must be a StreamYard server issue because I've got the crappy version of StreamYard. So hopefully, right. So Ashra is shouted at me already. Yeah, I thought so because my internet's absolutely fine and it's running absolutely fine. It's at full strength, but for some reason it just doesn't want to do anything. It just doesn't want to do anything. It's just shit at the minute for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my cam, and hopefully that should raise things up. So would you be able to let me know if I'm still choppy? Hopefully I shouldn't be now that I've changed. Sorry for the dead air, folks, but I kind of need to make sure that everything's working fine. It looks like it's got a strong signal again, so hopefully you guys can actually hear me and see me. I appreciate that, Darkcon, but unfortunately, my internet is right down the other end, and I can't actually plug that in. Right, so that's good. It's much better. Right, okay. So no camera then. No cameras allowed apparently. Right. So why is this important? Well, the things with the OnlyFans, or should we say Pornhub? I mean OnlyFans, is that everybody seems to have a take on it, and to be honest with you, the take that generally most people seem to give don't actually seem to be the correct take. Like I've heard people on the right say that, oh, this is just a way of being able to stop people from being able to do this, stop people from being able to do that. I've heard people on the left saying that it's a conservative site and it's a conservative matter, and that's the reason why we're no longer allowed to have sexual freedoms on OnlyFans, which, by the way, is absolutely ridiculous. There is still sexual freedoms actually allowed on OnlyFans, and in actual fact, even after the 1st of October, you will still be allowed to post pornographic images, just not explicit images. By explicit, that means obviously, penetration, stuff like that. So I find it a very interesting topic, not because I'm necessarily in support of everything, though I want to clear the water as quickly as possible on this one. I am for the sexual liberation of women and men if they want to be able to go and do this by their own admission. Then I think it's a great and empowering way of being able for them to make money. The problem always comes along with the idea of prostitution. Prostitution in itself, if people so choose to want to do it, is good, but at the same time, there's a heavy chance of exploitation going on. And unfortunately, this is actually what has happened with OnlyFans. And that's the worst thing about it. So what I would like to do is I would like to try and go through everything and try and explain what seems to be going on, at least in my understanding, right? So one of the things that I would like to talk about first is I would like to talk about the reason why OnlyFans got as big as it did, right? So one of the main reasons why I've lost where I was now. You can tell that the professionalism is still right at the top. It's still the best for this channel. Still the best. So let's do this, right? So, Under Your Skin by the BBC. This is really interesting because one of the main reasons why OnlyFans actually got so big was because of lockdown, the way that people weren't able to go out and get some work, how people that were going out of their way to decide what they can and what they can't do, people that were unfortunately being lost work, even people that were having family problems. So Tina Bean is the main aspect of this story. And she goes on and talks about the fact of having a big fight with her family and being forced to sleep in car parks around Phoenix. Now, obviously, I don't come from Phoenix and I definitely don't come from Arizona. But from what people tell me, that during the summer months, it's pretty warm, generally. So, as you can read on this for yourselves as well, she is one of million content creators on OnlyFans who shares photos and videos with subscribers for a monthly fee. In return, the site takes 20% of their earnings. Now, I will go into the actual statements and what they're actually offering next time. But as far as I'm aware, that what they're actually talking about is explicit pornography. So again, talking about penetration, the actual full act of everything, that is now going to be taken off of the market, so to speak, off of OnlyFans. As far as I'm aware, from what I've read and from what the statements actually say, you'll be able to post, still be able to post nudes. You'll still be able to do seductive dancing videos and stuff like that. So as long as you're not actually going into full pornographic, explicit material, as far as I'm aware, which we will go through again, you're still absolutely fine to go on. But some of the problems with this market of OnlyFans has come from the fact of you have people that had no way of making any money. And then as soon as this story goes into more in depth, Tina was ending up making about $2,000. Now, it's going to sound a bit sexist of me here, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to rate her as a person or anything. She, to me, is above average looking woman. Don't get me wrong, she's nothing special, but she isn't pretty, she isn't ugly, she's a nice looking woman. She's above average. Now, again, I can say that I'm absolutely nothing, and this isn't about comparing my looks to her. It's to show you the fact that average looking women, as well as other standards and fetishes of women that are out there as well, are able to go from sleeping in cars in car parks to earning $2,000 a month, or on British terms, just under $1,500 a month. But unfortunately, due to the fact of these different accounts, which is one of the reasons why OnlyFans is under scrutiny at the minute, is because you actually have people that are actually overtaking these highly subscribed creators' platforms on OnlyFans and actually being hacked, in other words. So this hacker was actually on Tina's platform, was actually hacking to be able to blackmail her. I'm not sure it was only for $150, but I'm just going on what's been written, guys. But the most important thing here is the IS terrorist video. So even though she was hacked, you could argue that she should have told the creators, she should have gone and told a moderator, so on and so forth, tried to keep things going. But shouldn't the moderators themselves pick up the fact of there is IS terror videos, the change in, I don't know, depiction, change in genre? So the actual footage that was taken off of this Tina's account was now going to the point of they were hostages in warehouses or running in fear. Some of them were actually being shot in the head. Now, remember, this is actually all on OnlyFans. So even the being shot in the head, the running in fear, this is just one aspect, by the way. So you actually have terrorist organizations that are trying to hack higher end or mid-range subscribers, or even low tier, whatever you want to call subscriber bases, to be able to produce and, should we say, share their indoctrination and their horrible videos. Let's put it that way. So the perpetrator also, and this is just one creator, spammed more than 40 of her fans, calling them the N-word as well. So obviously another form of racialization as well, which isn't from her, but you now have racist terrorists that are going around producing horrible videos, showing people that are literally being hostages in warehouses, running in fear and being shot in the head, as well as them then going around and racializing personal messages on her own account. So she tries to actually report all of this, doesn't really get any sort of help from OnlyFans. She just kind of keeps on trying to change her password and keeps on getting her account sort of frozen for a little bit and then comes back. And now, obviously, it comes to the point of she's not earning anywhere enough, because most people that followed her now don't care, and she's now only earning about £100 or $100 a week. Now, you could argue that's still a lot more than what she was earning before, but people end up relying on this type of content. It's like anything that, if you were to rely on doing YouTube, for instance, and then all of a sudden all of your content was completely and utterly scrapped by YouTube, for instance, or you were hacked by another person and you lost your account, you've lost all of the hard work that you've done. And this is something that happened not necessarily quite often, but often enough for it to be reported. Now, this still means that there's terrorists. There was, at least. There may not be now, but there was terrorist videos, people being shot in the head, and terrorist propaganda, as well as racializations and racial slurs being thrown around. That's just from one person's aspect of OnlyFans and how their account has been, well, let's say fucked, shall we? I'm going to use the OnlyFans aspect on this one, and absolutely fucked. So the reason why it becomes so good was because of this aspect, because of lockdown, because of people not being able to actually work anymore. So that was one of the biggest reasons why this actually exploded, especially considering it only really sort of started in 2016. So since 2018, 2019, it really started to explode. And you can, when you go back and have a look, actually see that it exploded mostly due to the pandemic. So that's one of the reasons why this is so... One of the reasons why I wanted to do the topic. Simply because it really does show you that you can make money off of the internet. Now, you could argue that, oh, well, that's just because you're showing off your booty or your tits or whatever. But it's still a case of, if you have something that people want to see, people will come to you to give you money one way or another. You could argue that there's different ways of doing different jobs and whatnot. To me, it shows you the adaptation of humanity, where they're just going to be able to adapt to any situation, right? So for me, OnlyFans in itself was always trying to catch up with what was going on. So one of the main issues with OnlyFans, especially from this aspect, this particular story, was that they didn't have a two-factor coding, or authentication. So if you could get into one aspect of it, you would have to then try and get the two-factor code, which means you need a device or another external email account, where Tina, didn't seem to actually have this. So you've got a lot of celebrities that are also doing the same thing. It's very interesting to me, OnlyFans. I don't personally use it. I probably never would use it. I wouldn't even use it to be able to watch different people or whatnot. But I can understand why it fills a particular platform and a particular need. One, it shows that men and women can do what they want and have a market for somebody that wants to see them. Again, you could argue that I was being sexist with the woman at the top by saying that she wasn't necessarily, very pretty or attractive, or whatever you want to use to try and describe her. But she was still earning much more than what I was for just shaking her ass and having much ado about nothing, really. A couple of pictures or whatever, earning up to £1,500 a month and $2,000 a month. So you can see where the appeal can come from, right? You can see where the actual appeal come from. So this is one of the main problems that I wanted to address. Now, by the way, before people start thinking, oh, this is a story that's really recent, the story itself was on the 17th of July. So not too long ago, but it's a fair bit away. So going back to what the actual videos are, the BBC has interviewed dozens of creators in the UK and US, seen copies of complaints and correspondence with OnlyFans, and found that there are terror videos, rape threats, and radical abuse has been posted on the site in the past year in violations of its terms of service. You have data protection experts have raised concern about the security of the website server after creators were hacked or affected by glitches, which is normally to do with the actual site themselves, resulting in new photos and others appearing in other accounts. Which means that if you had an account, had particular videos or particular pictures that you were keeping behind a paywall because you didn't really want to share them with anybody, that these glitches could, in fact, end up in somebody else's account and they could just post them around for absolutely nobody and everybody to see. So, yeah, one of the biggest things is the OnlyFans policy of granting automatic refunds to fans who are blocked can perpetuate and incentivize abuse. So, for instance, as an example, say for instance that I wasted a month's wages on the girl that we mentioned at the top, Tina, for instance, right? Sorry, Tina, don't mean to keep on using the example. It's just that you're right there. I'm sorry. But say, for instance, I spent over £1,000 on Tina. Let's say that I started to racially abuse her. I started to call her all the names under the sun. And to say that I got blocked from her, right? Well, if I got blocked from her, the OnlyFans policy would be granting me automatic refunds from what I've already spent on her for that month at least. So see how that could easily be used to get services that I may or may not want and then get my money back afterwards while still having use of that service beforehand. So those are just some of the basic problems. We haven't even got into the actual other major problems that I think is the main issues for what's actually gone on here. So if people wanted to actually read through this and follow through, there should be all links in the description box down below so people can actually read all of this with me and be able to pick things up and ask any sort of questions. I'm not trying to say that I'm any sort of expert, but you may pick up on something when you've read it that I haven't, and it'd be great for you to point it out. We can go through it. So one of the main problems as well with this is the fact of the way that they review things. It's not always a great thing for them to review, unfortunately. So let me just have a quick look at what everybody's talking about and see how everything's going. I want to actually have a yes, she would absolutely kill me. You're completely and utterly right. But more importantly, why the hell would I pay for porn when you can find it for free? I mean it in a nice way. So I've just opened a little bit of a drink. I won't tell you what it is, but I've just opened a little drink. Jack Daniels is amazing. Right, so let me move on and actually show you what I think some of the major problems are, the major issues, okay? So one of the major things that I think is important is this. And this was done on the 27th of May. So this isn't a case of it just being, oh, well, you know, something that we've just found out about. No, this is about 4 or 5 months in the making of people actually knowing what's going on this one. So the children selling explicit videos on OnlyFans. Now you may think, oh, well, when you mean children, you mean like 17-year-olds, don't you? I wish. As in, I wish it was only that low. So, under 18s have used fake identification to set up accounts, and police say a 14-year-old used a grandmother's passport to do this. The UK's most senior police officer for child protection also says children are being exploited on the platform. OnlyFans says its age verification systems go over and above regulatory requirements. Now, I would actually be inclined to agree with them, because if you need a passport to be able to prove that you're over the age of 18, or a driver's license, or any sort of form of identification, the site can only go on what you provide them to prove your age. So I get that, but the point isn't, oh, well, they don't do enough. It's a case of, well, it's actually on your platform. So a 14-year-old was using their platform. And I think this is the biggest reason why they've actually decided that what they're going to do is cut explicit content on their services and try and move away from the idea of them being branded as the porn site, or the YouTube porn, or porn of YouTube, or whatever. The way that OnlyFans has been set up for now. So I can't do this without having a bit of a drink. So if you hear me moving or not speaking, that's because I'm having a drink. Right. So as part of our investigation from the BBC, we found that one 17-year-old from a suburb in the southeast of England had sold videos of herself masturbating and playing with sex toys, while an under 18 participated in graphic videos hosted on an adult content account in Nevada, USA, in breach of the company's terms and conditions. So you have one 17-year-old that is, well, let's be honest, she's playing with herself and sexually exploiting herself in that aspect. So she's literally providing child porn on OnlyFans. I'm trying to not stumble over my words, but it's hard because it's a case of, when you read stuff like this, you actually understand what is actually going on and the problems and issues that OnlyFans themselves have had to go through. So you've had an under 18-year-old showing herself off and doing things to herself while being underage, and by definition is CP, which is on OnlyFans. You also have, from the USA as well, people that are doing exactly the same thing. And then people wondering why OnlyFans has decided to stop having pornographic images on the site. So, carrying on. The BBC were also able to set up an account for an underage creator by using a 26-year-old's identification, showing how the site's age verification process could be cheated. So again, you could actually say, well, why are they trying to cheat the system? It is literally to show you that the system can be cheated. And one of the major problems of CP, unfortunately, being a part of OnlyFans. So OnlyFans then says that it has shut down the accounts, but the BBC News has also heard of child protection experts across the UK and US, has spoken to dozens of police forces and schools, and obtained anonymous extracts from Childline counselor notes about underage experiences on OnlyFans. The notes included one girl who told counselors she had accessed the site when she was just 13 years old. So this is one of the major problems of OnlyFans. Now, I personally don't have any worry or any annoyance, anger, or whatever for people that are over the age of 18 that want to shake their butt, do whatever they want, and try and make money. Obviously, the biggest issue here is the fact of CP being on your platform and explicitly being on your platform as well. By definition, 17-year-old playing with herself and inserting things into her may not want to have people warrant that as CP, but by definition, it is. So the sources told BBC News about the number of serious cases. So schools have shared anonymous reports of pupils using the site, including a 16-year-old who boasted to her careers advisor about the amount of money she made on the site and showed off her exuberant spending on Instagram. Now, nobody really cares about the exuberant spending. Who really cares, right? The point is that there's a 16-year-old that is sharing herself, let's put it that way, on OnlyFans and making money from it. That's the biggest part of this. This is where I really think the people going, oh, it's just Christians or right-wingers that are trying to moralize the idea of sexual exploitation and stopping sexual freedom, or the idea of right-wingers going out of their way to stop the sexual liberation of women. And no, it seems that there are massive problems with OnlyFans simply because it is such a new platform that massively blew up within a 4 to say 5 year period, and it just cannot keep up with the demand. So continuing on, underage creators and users of the site include victims of prior sexual abuse and those with mental health issues and suicidal thoughts, according to Childline counselor notes. Now, you may read that and think, well, what does that mean? That means that if people were victims of prior sexual abuse, and in that instance there was videos, sounds, pictures, whatever, then the abuser could post those pictures and go through that aspect and basically forcing the abused to relive their abuse and having no aspect and no money from it, and letting the abuser make money off of the abuse that they've already committed to children. So UK police forces say children have complained about their images being uploaded to the site without consent, and one 17-year-old reported being blackmailed. So again, you are having people that are, let's say, Facebook stalking. Say that you went swimming, for instance, as a girl and whatever, and you were wearing a two-piece bikini that was a little bit too skimpy and you're a 16 or 17-year-old. Some of these people would steal those pictures, put them onto OnlyFans, and charge people to being able to actually use them. But the thing is, it's not them that are having those pictures, and it makes other people that are not a part of the platform not get any money from having the exploitation for a start, but also the bad name that comes with it. Also, the idea of them losing their self, losing their power of being able to control what they want to do with their body and when and where and how. And then in some aspects, even when they get found out and told that they don't want to have this happen and try and close the accounts down, they can get blackmailed over the account to try and do more or get more from it. So one of the things that really pisses me off about this is the fact that, carrying on, missing children are appearing in OnlyFans videos, according to a US watchdog, which also says it has received reports of child sexual exploitation. So people are kidnapping children, or children are going missing, and those videos are going up of people that are holding on to the children, should we say. Obviously, YouTube guidelines. There's so much that I want to say about this, but so much that I physically can't, and because I'm restrained from YouTube. But them holding on to these children and uploading videos of instances that these people may be doing to these children while they're looking after them, so to speak. And yet, that's all on OnlyFans. All on OnlyFans. And people are still trying to say that OnlyFans is doing this because of a moral conundrum. No, this is to do with the fact of there being underage people that are using the site. So, carrying on and talking about Chief Constable Simon Bailey, who's saying that it is increasingly clear that OnlyFans is being used by children. Continuing the quote, the company is not doing enough to put in place the safeguards that prevent children exploiting the opportunity to generate money, but also for children to be exploited. So, obviously, that's a massive, massive blow to any company. For instance, looking at it from OnlyFans' perspective, right? That is a massive blow to any company that is being told by police, not just from the UK, but from the US as well, that children are being exploited, either by themselves, by not understanding exactly what's going on and how it's going to impact their future, or by actual people that are blackmailing children, or by people actually, again, because of YouTube, looking after children while they're missing and exploiting that while they're, again, YouTube looking after them. So I personally, if I had to guess, would say that this is the biggest reason why that OnlyFans is getting rid of their explicit content, because they do not have enough people to manually review and go through all of the videos to be able to pull them off and say this is bad, this is good, so on and so forth. And the algorithm itself, I don't think is good enough to be able to determine that if you have a older looking 16-year-old or an older looking 14-year-old, that they are that age or they are that young. I don't think an algorithm can be able to work that out just yet. So it is very, should we say, a Wild West situation, in my opinion, for the OnlyFans to be able to police this, which, in my opinion, would lead them to only having one option to make sure that morally that this wasn't able to happen on their platform. And that would be to ban as a broad brush stroke of saying we just don't want any explicit content on our platform anymore. That way it kind of helps get rid of instances like this. Though, again, as I said before, there's still the way of being able to post nudes and do videos in a nude and things like that and be essential with how you do particular videos, for instance. So will it stop CP on there? I don't know. I don't think it will. I don't think it will at all. So OnlyFans says it could not respond specifically to the anonymous report where we were told about without the account details. So it's trying to say that we can't look into the specifics if you don't give us the specifics. It says its efforts to stop children accessing its site limits the likelihood of them being exposed to blackmail or exploitation. And if it is notified about these behaviors, it takes swift actions and disables accounts. Now, just because you disabled account doesn't mean that you've stopped the abuse. Again, if I put down the situation of, say, a girl that posts stuff about her life on Facebook, but then finds an account on OnlyFans that is taking the pictures from her account and then making money off of it, it still doesn't stop the fact of that account could then blackmail this young child, or the child themselves can be completely exploited and feel completely lost and on their own. It just, it doesn't really go through with the fact of them saying, well, it could be our fault. It seems like it's a washing hands situation. It's like, well, we tried our best. It's not our fault. And let's be honest, it's your platform. It is your fault. You're supposed to be monitoring what goes on. By the way, this isn't like a Twitter. They actually classify themselves as a platform, which is why they take 20% of any sort of tips or any sort of stuff that you get from them. So they actually do classify themselves as a platform. So Leah, 17, was able to set up an account using their fake driving license and sell explicit videos. She told her mum, Catelyn, about being on OnlyFans on the way to Tesco's near their home in the southeast England in January. That week's Leah's bank account had been frozen after she received a payment of more than £5,000 from selling explicit videos on the site, Catelyn says. Catelyn says that she was shocked, as any payment would be. I don't understand why people are paying so much money for this, she told the BBC. Because some people have a fetish with feet. So even though that she's 17 and only taking pictures of her feet, the content itself is still being used explicitly for CP. Now you could go, well, that's not really what CP is. It's like, it depends what you're actually doing, doesn't it? So Leah had big issues growing up and missed a lot of education, Catelyn says. Naked photographs of her were once shared around school without her consent. She told her mum she originally intended to only post pictures of her feet after making money, selling them on Snapchat, but this soon escalated to explicit videos of her masturbating and playing with sex toys. Now, remember, this is still a 17-year-old. So, in tweets advertising her OnlyFans account, some of which include teaser videos, people call her beautiful and sexy and ask if she would meet up. Remember, this is of a 17-year-old on the platform OnlyFans, as well as it being on Twitter. And obviously coming up again, post a pushy shot and I'll subscribe is another typical response. Catelyn says she doesn't approve of her daughter using the site, but can see why people go on it, given how much money can be made. One thing I would like to point out is, as a mom, you sitting there and saying, well, I don't approve of it, but, I can understand why people make so much money out of it. Leah used most of the money to buy presents for her boyfriend, including more than £1,000 on designer clothes. They have since broken up. Interesting. I wonder why that was. So that's just one aspect. Going on to the grandmother's passport from the 14-year-old that we were talking about earlier. So Hertfordshire Police told us that a 14-year-old girl had managed to use her grandmother's passport and bank details to sell explicit images. They say she then redirected money from that account to her own. OnlyFans says the account was fraudulent and involved the help of others. The site says it is assisting police and has since updated its age verification system to further reduce the chance of this happening again. But when BBC tested the site's new, exceptionally effective system in April this year, while a fake ID did not work, we were able to set up an OnlyFans account for a 17-year-old by using her 26-year-old sister's passport. The girl never had access to the account. Let that sink in for a minute. The BBC, with permission, but the BBC set up an account in a 17-year-old girl's name, but used with permission, but without, correspondence, the 26-year-old's sister's passport, and neither of them were needed to get any sort of information. Neither of them were needed to be told or anything like that. And the girl didn't even need to have access to the account. See how easy it would be on OnlyFans to set something up like that. I think that's the main reason why OnlyFans was actually deciding that they're going to ban porn on that aspect of things. So these are a couple of more explanations of what's gone on and how you can be sucked into making videos and so on and so forth. If you want to read through this, it is linked down below. You can read through it. This is going into more depth about a 12-year-old girl who said she used the site to contact adult creators and asked to meet up. So this is one of the main reasons why I think that, again, OnlyFans is in such poor array at the minute. Again, going through missing children, basically all the claims that were made at the beginning of the story or the BBC article is being substantiated and going through more in depth of how this actually happened. Again, if you want to read it, please do understand why I think that OnlyFans is... it's a cesspit because it's just not being able to control what's going on. It's a platform that takes money off of you, doesn't have enough people to review anything, doesn't have enough moderators on it. It just doesn't do what it says it's trying to do. It's fine saying that we're going to use computers. It's fine saying we're going to use an algorithm, but it doesn't look after children at all. And I think that's the main problem that we have here. So I'm going to have a quick drink. Let me know what you guys think in this. What do you guys actually think about what I've said so far? Because to me, this is the biggest problem that I have from the right and the left. They see sensationalized headlines, but never actually read the story. And then they make up their own accounts of what they think is going on, rather than it being what is going on. So, as I said at the beginning, you have people on the right saying that, oh, this is great. That means that they're turning into a more moralized system. You know, they're following our morals. That's great. You have people on the left that are trying to say that, oh, well, you know, they're now turning more right-wing and they're just moralizing. They're just stopping sexual work, sexual liberation. So what do you guys actually think so far? Do you think that there is a problem with OnlyFans at the moment? Or do you think that it should just be a case of let's let them carry on? Paolo or Costa, I don't think that they're overreacting. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that they're overreacting. I'll go into more and more statistics later on as showing you what they found within a year of them doing their own internal investigation later on, where directly they had to close down between 15 accounts that were going out of their way to exploit children that were on their platforms. So that's an internal investigation that they did themselves. They found 15 accounts that were going out of their way to break terms of service and show CP. I don't think that they're overreacting. I'll be honest with you. There's also other aspects to this as well that I will get into, but I think the biggest one for at least the banning of explicit content on OnlyFans is because of CP. But again, Costa, it's a case of you don't necessarily need to have bank accounts anymore to transfer money. For instance, you can have a pay app or a cash app or something like a PayPal where you don't even have to have age verification on for it. So you can link an account with PayPal or a cash app, but then that cash app then links to your account. That way you're 2 steps removed from the actual account, so you don't have to age verify it anymore. So that means that you can get all the money from your OnlyFans account into your PayPal or Cash App that doesn't need to be age verified to receive money. And if it does, it doesn't actually have any sort of age verification in point of you need to prove ID or a picture or anything else like that. Just a case of, are you over the age of 18? Yeah, that will do. to then go from your PayPal to then into your bank account. So even if the regulation was all on to do with the bank account, it still only comes from your PayPal. And PayPal doesn't need to be age verified for OnlyFans to send it any money. So where you're saying that, oh, it should be dependent on having access to a bank account, you can bypass that really easy. I think a case of going over and saying, well, children shouldn't know their own bank account number is kind of reductive. Because how are you going to be able to, if you let your child have an account, how are you going to let your child actually do anything? Because remember, these children are not necessarily children. They're between the ages of 14, 16, 17, those types of things, where we're all starting to go out, explore, understand what we're going on, trying to make our own way, starting off phone contracts, for instance. So saying that, oh, they shouldn't know their own bank account number, it doesn't really stop this. It's more of a case of, unfortunately, the platform themselves needs to have more people hired to review videos. Again, Costa, it's a good idea, but then PayPal would lose massive amounts of money, because the way that PayPal makes money is by holding on to the money and making interest off of the money that it holds. So it would then turn itself into a bank. And why would PayPal want to turn itself into a bank? For me, at the minute, this lies with the platform. Unfortunately, it lies with the platform, in my opinion, and it has to lie with the platform. Though I have to say, Costa, I do appreciate you actually taking the time to have a conversation. And I know that for other people like Sharati that said that they can't listen to this is the reason why I wanted to do the stream. I'm not going to win anybody's affection or ire or anything else like that. I'm actually probably going to lose people because they're not going to want to listen or want to watch this. But I think it's important to understand the actual truth of why this is happening, or at least my perceived interpretation of the truth. So I don't think it's a case of any sort of moralizations that's happened on OnlyFans. I don't even think that they were that bothered necessarily about CP. And again, that's my opinion. That doesn't make it true. But I don't think that they were even that bothered about it because they didn't review any of it. So those are my opinions. I'm going to carry on doing some more of my unfortunate reading simply because we have so much to get on. So much to get on, unfortunately. So one of the main things as well is that the government has now taken an interest since June on OnlyFans as well. So the government themselves are going out of the way to try and find out what's going on. Is it actually going against terms of service? Is it actually letting CP go on? So it's now come to a point of, well, if the government are now trying to regulate a British company, even if it does operate online, it's a case of, well, rather than the government trying to regulate us, we'll just ban it. It's a easier way out rather than actually trying to have a company retroactively and actively look for what is on its platform, find the people, and actually have criminal investigations from the people that are using its platform. Now, that doesn't mean that I want them to use the platform. It's just saying that why they are, try and arrest the people that are, rather than letting them have their money back, right? So I wanted to go through this with you, actually, to be fair. I want to go through this with you because I think it's very important. The way... Sorry, I was reading the chat because I'm a dick. I want to show you how it actually handles the investigation and how it deals with moderators and everything like that. So let me just go through this with you so you can see why I'm so annoyed and why I think that OnlyFans is doing I'm washing my hands of this, because I think it's really important. So, how does it handle illegal sex videos? I had it exactly where I wanted it from beforehand. So, described as a compliance manual, the documents also show that staff are asked to be more lenient towards successful accounts on the British content sharing service. Moderation specialists and child protection experts say this shows OnlyFans, which is best known for hosting pornography, has some tolerance for accounts posting illegal content. OnlyFans says it goes far beyond all relevant global safety standards and regulation and does not tolerate breaches of its terms of service. Very, very quickly before we move on, if you don't monitor what the videos are doing on your platform or monitor it enough, it doesn't matter what your global standards and regulations are, you can't monitor it. And if you can't monitor it, you can't enforce it. So let's carry on. So OnlyFans said it would ban sexually explicit content on the site from October. The announcement comes after BBC News approached the company for its response to the leaked documents and concerns about its handling of accounts posting illegal content. To Me, You, and the Doorpost, CP. OnlyFans said it would still allow creators to post nude photos and videos if they were in line with its terms of service, which are to be updated, which is another reason why I wanted to show you this. Because even though it's saying that it's going to be banning pornography, it's not. All it's doing is actually banning explicit images. So no forms of penetration, no hard dicks, for instance, that sort of stuff. That's what it's banning. It's not banning nudes. It's not banning dancing. It's not banning sexual or sexualized pictures. So, yeah, definitely going to help out. As I said before, it looks like it's just trying to wash its hands. So, carrying on, OnlyFans said it would still allow creators to post nude photos and videos if they were aligned with the service, right? As we said before. The site has more than 120 million subscribers who pay a monthly fee and tips to creators for videos, photos, and the ability to send personal messages to them. And OnlyFans takes 20% of every single payment from every single creator and from every single interaction, whether it be legal, illegal, or somewhere in the grey. So I wonder why that they're making a song and dance about saying that they're banning porn, when in actual fact all they're doing is banning the explicit content. But you can still post nudes and salacious dancing and sensual dancing and so on and so forth. Doesn't really seem to be doing that much, does it? But that's just my opinion. I'm sure other people are a lot more clued up on it than what I am. So let's continue. So in May, BBC revealed the site was failing to prevent under 18s from selling and appearing in explicit videos, despite it being illegal for children to do so. At the time, OnlyFans said attempts to use the site fraudulently were rare. Now the leaked documents show accounts are not automatically shut down if they breach the site's terms of service. So again, if they are even found to be having CP on them, they're not always the accounts terminated. So moderators from OnlyFans have also told BBC News they have found a prostitution services advertised, bestiality, and material one moderator believed to be incest. God damn it. The BBC has seen examples of this banned content. In one video, a man is seen eating feces. In another, a man pays homeless people to have sex with him on camera. So, literally, exploitation of showing how the exploitation is happening to the people that they're exploiting. Great. But, OnlyFans has done nothing wrong, guys. Nothing wrong. This isn't a way of trying to hide problems that OnlyFans as a platform actually has. The fact that they're too lazy to actually moderate this service. And even when they do moderate the service, as stated before, that they're not even banning or deleting the accounts that commit these problems. And this is the biggest problem. That even when they found, with the limited amount of investigations that they do, that they don't even always ban the people that are producing CP, that are advertising prostitution, that are going through bestiality, that are going through incest, so on and so forth. That are all banned, especially on that platform. But yet, they're trying to be good guys, honest. So OnlyFans says it has removed the videos, and the documents are not manuals or official guidance. In a statement, it says, "We do not tolerate any violations of the terms of service and will take immediate action to uphold the safety and security of our users." Except from if they're making you a lot of money, right? Because let's be honest, if you're not closing down all accounts straight away that break terms of service, there must be a reason why you don't automatically shut them down, right? So, Christoph, which is a moderator that the BBC spoke to, said on some days he has reviewed up to 2,000 photos and videos looking for content prohibited by the site. He uses lists of keywords to search within bios, posts, and private messages between creators and their subscribers. Now, this is great, absolutely great, but even as he's going to say before, it doesn't always ban the actual people. But carry on from what Christoph says, he's found illegal and extreme content in videos, including bestiality, use of spy cams, guns, knives, drugs. Some material is not actively searched for by moderators as frequently as he believes it should be, and despite being banned under the platform's terms of services. On multiple occasions, he says OnlyFans told him he over-moderated, particularly in relation to videos showing sex in public to a third party content, material featuring people not registered with OnlyFans. So let me put this right for people that are not understanding this. This is somebody that's registered with OnlyFans, that is hiding in a bush, that is watching two people having sex. Those two people don't know what's going on, don't know that they're being filmed, and the person that's filming them is posting that to OnlyFans, or as we would call it back here in the UK, upskirting, stuff like that. So he says that moderators are given specific briefs, and if they routinely go beyond them, they would be directed to focus only on their assigned type of content. So let that sink in for a minute. The moderators are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, as in they're not moderating enough, according to one of their own moderators. Even when they are moderating, OnlyFans have gone out of their way to say, look, you over-moderated. And then they actually go, well, if you're actually doing a specific amount and banning people in specific areas, they tell you to stop looking for these things and focus on a different type of content. so you don't find these people. So even though despite being banned, the advertising of sex for sale is common among low earners on the site. So even if you are earning a little bit of money, or actual people, like you're actually earning a little bit but not enough in your actual proper accounts, you're not supposed to sell yourself. Prostitution is still legal on that account, especially from considering that it's based in the UK. So yeah, still not doing very well. So Christoph and a second person who has moderated content for the site say some creators offer competitions to meet and have sex with a fan as a way of increasing tip payments. So not even just, hey, can you come and have sex with me? I'll sell myself for £200-300 or £50, or in my case 20 pence. They're actually going, well, if you guys want to have sex with me, here's an auction. Fight for me. One of the documents we obtained detailing moderation guidelines in 2020 states that adverts for sex are an issue for the site. It says the most popular places for escort promos on the site are in creators' usernames, bios, contact descriptions, and tips menus, which advertise customized videos. The document says examples of this promotion include references to PPM, pay per meet, cash meets, book me, IRL meet, Scort, and others, as in sexual escort. Despite this, BBC News was able to find more than 30 active accounts using those keywords in bios, profiles, and posts on one day. And that's just the BBC News, with like one or two, maybe four people doing research on this. Why aren't the actual moderators being able to find? Oh, yeah, that's right. They're told not to, or to forget about it. Because remember, if the account user that is auctioning themselves off or themselves off and somehow is able to get to 2,000 or 50,000, for instance, maybe as a point, they get 20% of that. So why would they care? For what reason, right? OnlyFans says it upholds its terms of service, use both human and technological forms of moderation, and closes accounts where there is a serious contravention of its terms. But the documents show that although illegal content itself is removed, OnlyFans let moderators give creators multiple warnings before closing accounts. So, even if you're in the wrong and you've broken terms of service, if you're making a bit of money for the company, that's fine. We'll let you carry on. So, from February this year, OnlyFans recommends 3 warnings are given to accounts when illegal content is discovered. It provides templates for each successive warning, explaining why material has been removed and that failure to comply with terms of service may result in the closure of the account. We obtained, BBC, several differently dated versions of the same 2021 document, all except the oldest state there should be at least 5 examples of illegal content on account for it to be escalated immediately to management. That almost seems like a contradiction in what they just said, right? Almost. If you wanted to push it, to say it's a form of hypocrisy, right? Yeah, we look after people. We make sure that things are not, looked after and whatnot. Yeah, don't look at our previous documents. Honest. So later versions for the summer include an apparent contradictory statement require immediate management referral for some examples of illegal content. So notice how the beforehand, in the beginning of 21, the documents that were changing were saying, oh, you need 5 examples and it may need to be escalated, just in case. To now where people are actually noticing it, and the BBC has gone out of their way to do an investigation, as well as other police services and so on and so forth from both sides of the pond, are actually going, hang on a minute, you're actually letting these things go. And why is that? To them going, right, we need to change this as quickly as possible. We now need to update our policies to show that we're more firm, right? So the document also gives moderators specific instructions for dealing with accounts, depending on how popular each one it is. It says accounts with higher numbers of subscribers can be given additional warnings when rules are broken. So, literally, if you make more money for us, we will give you more chances. So, however, staff are told to moderate accounts with low user numbers as we would and restrict when necessary. With middle range accounts, they are told to warn, but only restrict after the 3rd warning. If one of the site's most successful and lucrative creators breaks the rules, the account is dealt with by a different team. Sounds like hypocrisy there, doesn't it? Like one rule for thee and another for me, doesn't it? On that one, doesn't sound like it's run properly there, does it? So there is definitely a discrimination between accounts, says Christoph, one of the moderators. It shows money is the priority, not what the content is, not if it breaks the law, not if it actually has people that are breaking terms of service, not if there is even CP on it. If you're a high enough rating, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The second moderator says that with violations of any kind, you get a few warnings. You don't just get the one warning and then you're off. One expert in content moderation says the document clearly shows that OnlyFans has some tolerance for illegal material. This suggests that they know the type of illegal content that their users are trying to upload enough to have templates for it, says Dr. Sarah Roberts, a co-director for the Center of Critical Internet Inquiry at UCLA. Because OnlyFans has a certain amount of leniency, it also suggests that they are not willing to completely alienate their creators, even people who may do things illegally at worst, inappropriately at best, by immediately deplatforming them. So remember again, if you have a high enough money or high enough account subscribers, maybe if you were producing CP, doing upskirt pornography, or, blackmailing people and taking money from different accounts, or just being an account that's underage themselves, if you're making enough money, doesn't really matter. And I personally think that that's the main reason. For me, that's the main reason why OnlyFans is such a goddamn problem. As far as I know, Larry, it's been illegal for quite a long time, actually, to be fair. Yeah, as far as I know, it's quite a long time. But overall, that's the main reasons why OnlyFans, in my opinion, is trying to save face. They're not going out of their way to try and help people. They're not trying to go out of their way to try and moderate let's be honest here, the criminal activity that's on their platform. No, they're actually just trying to make sure that they can still make money with doing the minimalist amount of effort. All this is a publicity stunt. Because as been constantly mentioned throughout this live stream, that OnlyFans themselves constantly states that explicit content is now to be banned, but nudes and videos of people in the nude are still acceptable and valid forms of them being platformed. So to me, this is a great big virtue signal of saying we've got caught with our pants down, not taking into account what's illegal, not taking into account what's wrong, and even facts of people breaking their own terms of services, and selectively modifying and moderating people in general. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we're actually doing something without actually doing something. That's what my opinion is of all of this on OnlyFans. So when people on the left say, oh, this is just Christian moralizations or right-wing moralizations, with all of the citations in the box, you can quite easily shove it back in their face and say, no, OnlyFans, by their own right, if you're high enough, will allow underage people to post their nudes and explicit content. Don't give a crap about it. Will let other people post other people's content without them actually being even associated with them. Has no way of being able to modify who's actually on their platform. And you can shove it in their face and say, no, this isn't a right-wing or a left-wing issue. It's simply a case of greed from the case of OnlyFans on this one. And the fact of OnlyFans are too lazy to modify and moderate their own platform because they make too much money off of it. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, I think right now I am going to say farewell. I thank you very much for taking the time to watch and to listen to me ramble and point out what I think is going on, what I think is the main issues here, especially with OnlyFans. Again, if you want to have a chat with me about any of this aspect, please do. All the links are down in the description box. Please share this video for anybody that categorically states that OnlyFans is trying to moralize themselves and trying to uplift themselves and take themselves away from pornography. No, they're just trying to absolve themselves from actually letting people break their terms of services and openly admitting via their moderators that they exceptionally go out of their way to say, if you have enough money, we'll let you get away with stuff. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and however you may identify, I've been the Common Sense Guy, or better known as Jason. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that crap. And I bid you farewell. I bid you adieu. Take care. And I'll see you all again real soon.